Alright, what's going on everyone, and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be surprising my friend by showing up at his doorstep with the several $100s worth of items and upgrading his entire setup for him. This is the starting point that we're working with, and although it is good, it's just not his dream setup, and we've both talked a lot about what we want to upgrade in our setups, and I know that there's a lot of things he's been wanting. Thanks to you guys blowing up my day in the life video and all of you guys showing so much support on my Twitch channel, I am able to make something like this happen for him. So a seriously big thank you to all of you for allowing me to make this happen for him. If you want to check out my live streams where I play games all the time, do some just chatting, things like that, my Twitch link will be in the description, and if you enjoyed this video and want more just like it, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. Now if you do enjoy this video and you want to show some extra support, my friend's Twitch channel will be linked in the description, so if you want to check that out, that would mean the world to me. My Twitch channel will also be there if you want to see some more of me on the gameplay side of things. I'd appreciate that a lot. With all that being said, let's hop straight into the video. So first things first, we need a desk. This is the base of every setup, and my friend had been using a crappy Amazon gaming desk for a while, and honestly, I just really didn't like the way it looked. For me, the aesthetics of a setup is a big part of how good a setup actually is, and I wanted something really clean and minimal that I could use as a base. I looked online beforehand and already found the desk, so this trip was basically just to pick it up, and for those of you that are wondering, I went with the 55-inch lag Captain in white. The 55-inch desktop was only about $30, and with the legs that I already had at home, the total cost of this desk came out to about $60. After I picked up the desk, I headed over to my friend's place and we got to work unpacking everything from the car. When we finished with that, we got to work taking apart his old setup. We had to take off the monitors, all the peripherals, take the desk and move it into the living room. I don't know what he did with the desk. It was still there when we left, but yeah, we had to take apart everything in his old setup to get the space empty and clean, prepared for the new one. After that came building the actual desk. This was pretty easy and straightforward, but getting the actual screws in was pretty hard since we didn't have a power drill or anything like that. We had to screw everything in by hand. So this process took like 15 minutes, which is probably about 14 minutes more than it should have, but we got through it. I went with black table legs to add contrast to the white desk, and I think it looks pretty sick. After that, we got to work undoing his PC so that I could put in some RGB fans that I bought, and we were met with this. What am I looking at? What am I looking at?
You see the inside? Oh my god.
So we took a temporary pause to clean out the entire inside of his PC with some wet wipes and then got to work putting in the RGB fans. I went with some Asia Horse fans in black to match the PC case. I think Asia Horse fans are really good for a budget since they look really dope, have this kind of like outside ring similar to Corsair LL120s, and they're pretty cheap, coming at like $40 for 3 of them. Now, neither me or my friend know how to build a PC. We both have a different friend that built our PCs for us, so this was our first time ever doing anything involving building a PC. So even though we were just replacing some fans, it took probably 20 minutes of watching YouTube videos and FaceTiming people to try and figure out how to connect them to the motherboard. But eventually we got it working. We had one RGB fan on the back for exhaust, 2 RGB fans on the front for intake, and then we took the old 2 fans that weren't RGB and put them on the top as well for intake. Now before this, my friend only had 2 PC fans in his entire case, so now this will be upgraded to 5, which should give him some better temps and better airflow. And then in a super nerve-wracking moment, we turned on the PC to test if we'd done everything correctly, and thankfully, everything worked fine. Here's the final result. I think it looks dope. After we finished with the PC, the next step was the monitors. I had ordered my friend a new monitor and brought it over, and he already had 2 before this, so he will be rocking a triple monitor setup, and I have wall mounts for all 3 of them. Unfortunately, we had to take out this wall mount first, and it was really annoying since, again, we didn't have any kind of power tools for this, so we had to undo it by hand. After that, his parents got home and helped us find a wooden beam in the wall that we could put the 3rd monitor in, so I didn't record that part of it, but we got all 3 monitors mounted and set up, and then got to work putting all the peripherals on the desk, putting the PC on the desk, just to kind of see a baseline for how the setup would look before we got to work doing all the extra stuff. This part of the process wasn't that bad. It was actually kind of fun, because you could kind of start to see the whole setup coming together and start to see what it'll look like when it was finished. At this point, it had been about 4 hours since I had gotten to his house when we started with this process, and things were going really smoothly. A little bit too smoothly, because this is when we hit a major roadblock.
No signal. Please check your input. What is it saying? Entering power save.
The 3rd monitor wouldn't connect, and when I checked the back of the PC, I found out that my friend had plugged it into the motherboard slot because we didn't have enough ports on his GPU. So I FaceTimed that tech smart friend I mentioned earlier to ask for advice.
Yeah.
So we can't do 3?
To get an adapter for that 3rd slot.
You have to buy an adapter?
Yeah.
Then I remembered that it was 2021 and I have Amazon Prime.
This one is overnight, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m.
So I ordered an adapter for overnight shipping, and then it was back to the setup. Now for arguably the most important part of the setup, all the extra things that make it come to life. One of my favorite brands, Luminosity, sent out some stuff for this project, including these really dope LED strips. If you want to check them out, the link will be in my bio, and I would most definitely recommend them. They're the same LED strips that I use for my setup back at home and my room and my sister's room. I put this strip right behind the desk. Yes, it's a basic spot, but I honestly think it's one of the best things you can do to a setup just to add that little touch that makes all the difference in the world. Next up was this RGB floodlight that I got from Amazon. I put it in the corner behind the PC to kind of make the PC look like it was glowing. Now I wanted to make the whole room look cool, not just the setup, and that's where these neon signs from Luminosity come in. You can find these linked in the description next to the LED lights, and these look really cool around the room and just kind of make the whole vibe of the room better. I have a few of these in my setup back home, as well as my room. I just think these make literally any room look better and are a must-have for a setup. After this came the worst part of building a setup, which was cable management. Now, a side effect of having all this cool stuff in a setup is the amount of cords and wires that there is to manage. It's honestly just a mess. So for this, I ran 3 white cable raceways coming from under the monitors to hold all the monitor cables. Because these monitors are wall mounted and they look like they kind of have that floating effect, I wanted that to be maintained and not to have all these ugly wires going down, so this was the best solution I could come up with. After that, we routed all the cables that we could from the PC out behind the PC to the right so you couldn't see them when you were sitting in the chair looking at it. You can still kind of see them from the right side of the room, but that wasn't really our priority. Then for underneath the desk, we put a power strip inside of a cable tray and ran all the cords through that cable tray. It doesn't necessarily look the best from underneath the desk, but who's going to be looking from down there? We only really cared about making it look good from the top down. Now, I don't go super overboard with my cable management like some tech source type stuff, but I do think it's important to make a setup look cleaner, at least from when you're sitting in the main chair. At this point, it had been about 7 or 8 hours since I got to his house, and this is what we had to show for it. I was super happy with this result. I think it looks really good from the top, and even when you're looking at it from like a level point of view, the cable management underneath honestly isn't that bad. I think the lighting is super nice with the ring light up in the top left above the plant, kind of adds a cool tone to the setup. Then we spent a couple hours tidying everything up and cleaning up some boxes and the trash around the room, and this is where I called it for day 1. On day 2, I woke up at about 10:30 to go check if the Amazon package was here, and sure enough, when I looked, it was delivered. So I got the package, brought it inside, and sat down to unbox it. I kind of expected it to be a little bit bigger, but it was just a tiny little box with 2 adapters in it. And this was the last thing that we needed to get the setup fully finished and ready. So I headed over to the setup, hooked up the adapter, and sure enough, that was all it took to get everything up and running, including the 3rd monitor. I spent the next few minutes finding a good wallpaper on Wallpaper Engine for his red color scheme, and then when everything was finished, went to the kitchen to grab some breakfast. Now for the final touch, I wanted to add something to the left side of the room to kind of even out the lighting, since I had that floodlight on the right and then the big setup in the middle, but nothing on the left. So I put some more LED strips behind this TV, and honestly, I think this fixed the problem perfectly. So finally, after about 12 hours total of work, I had finished the setup completely. Then I filmed all the shots for the montage I'm about to show you, said goodbye to my friend, and headed out. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to like the video and leave a comment down below rating this setup a 1 through 10. Now all that's left to do is enjoy.